So this recipe is a super quick recipe. It's a turmeric and ginger, thick, creamy, plant-based latte. I call it my turmeric hug in a mug because it's so nurturing, it's so nutritious, it's so filling, it's so good for you that it just feels like an infusion of love or a nice big hug. So it's very quick to make. It's the blender method. There's different ways you can make it, but this is my favourite way, and I do this all the time. And once you start doing it, you can do it without thinking about it. You can just put stuff in, give it a whiz, and you're good to go. But I'm just going to talk you through this recipe. We're going to use cashew nuts, and we're going to use 50 grams of cashew nuts. If you would prefer to put hemp seeds in, shelled hemp seeds, then you can substitute about 50% of these for hemp seeds instead if you're into those and have them. I'm a big fan of shelled hemp seeds, so that's what I tend to do. But today I'm going to use 50 grams of cashew nuts. I'm going to use about 1 centimetre cubed of ginger. You can use a little bit less if you're not so much of a ginger fan. You can use more if you want a real spicy kick, but I think about 1 centimetre cubed works really nicely. And then we've got turmeric just for that nice golden colour and an infusion of delicious goodness. And then just to balance out the flavours a little bit more, I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. And then we've got maple syrup. If you don't have maple syrup, you can substitute for a little bit of coconut sugar. A teaspoon of coconut sugar should do the trick, but just adjust that according to your taste. And then I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla extract, which just brings everything together nicely. And of course I'm going to put water in. So 350 millilitres of water is just about the right amount for this slot. If you put less water in, you're just going to have a super creamy latte. If you do want to have less fat in it, less nuts in it, just simply leave some of them out and you'll have a nice light version. You could do it with 50% of this amount of cashews. It's going to be a nice milky drink. It's not going to be super creamy, but it'll still be nice. You can use any blender for this. The cashew nuts are really soft, so they'll blend down within a minute in the blender. So what I'm going to do first, you can use any blender. I'm going to use my NutriBullet blender today. So what I want to do first is weigh 50 grams of cashew nuts. If you can do it by sight and just guess, then it's about this much. So that's all you need in there. You can wing it with this quite easily. And then you want to just snap off about 1 centimetre cubed of ginger. You can actually even leave the skin on this. So pop it in. And then I'm going to have about a teaspoon of turmeric. If you want to add a little bit of black pepper in there too, go for it. People do say that that is really good for the turmeric as it makes the nutrients more bioavailable according to research. And then I'm going to put half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder in and a couple of teaspoons of maple syrup. You can add a different healthy syrup sweetener if you want. You could also add a teaspoon or 2 of coconut sugar. 1, 2. There we go. Add more or less of that depending on taste. This I find is the perfect balance. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So you really can make this in a few minutes. Obviously, because I'm talking it through with you, it takes just a teeny bit longer, but once you've made it once, you'll be doing it yourself in absolutely no time. And then I'm going to add 350 millilitres of water in there. And then put the lid on your blender. So if you've got a jug blender, put it on top. This is a NutriBullet, so I'm going to make sure I fasten it on tightly. Give it a bit. Now that is going to turn into a nice creamy latte. So I want to blend that on my blender for about 60 seconds. This is a really powerful one, so I can probably get away with 30 seconds, but just give it a good 60 seconds if you just have a regular blender. And make sure you do the blender dance just to help it infuse with a little bit of vibrant energy. And there you go. So that's blended really nicely. Everything's broken down. We're basically looking for the nuts, the cashew nuts and the ginger, just to break down into a nice smoothie golden milk. Let's have a little look. Whoa, look at that. Okay, so next part, you want to get a saucepan. Pour it in. And I like to give my blender a swish out at this stage because I don't want it to stick on there and be difficult to clean later. And a little tip is to put a little bit of washing up liquid in, a little water. Put it back on the blender. Give it a few seconds, that's like a magic little bit of cleaning. Works a treat every time. So you've got your golden milk, you're hugging a mug in the pan. Now I want to get it on the heat. So there's a couple of important things that you need to remember here. You want a spoon because this is going to start to thicken and become really creamy. If you just put it on the heat and leave it, it's going to get a bit, lumpy. We don't want that. Easy remedy for that is just to nice and gently stir it as it is coming to the boil. So let's get it on. So what I want to make sure that I do is turn it on the heat and give it a nice little stir. You have to stir it frequently enough. If you don't stir it, it might go really thick on the bottom and become lumpy. So we want to avoid that little thing happening. It doesn't take long to cook at all. You want it on a medium sort of heat. We want to bring it up to boiling point, and then after a couple of minutes you'll notice it's starting to steam. Keep stirring it and it's almost ready once it starts to steam, and you can see that it will start to thicken. So the blended cashew nuts especially act as a thickening agent. Oh, look at that. That is actually so nice and thick and creamy. So that is absolutely perfect, and it's ready to go and it is ready to enjoy just like that. So you want to get a nice mug and pour it in. Oh, look at that deliciousness. So there you go. It's a bit hot, so you might just want to let it cool down for a little bit. It's got a gorgeous thick creaminess and a lovely dance of flavours in there. Really good for you. So enjoy your hug in a mug. Just a super quick message right at the end here. If you like this video and you like my recipes, then please do come over to my website and check out my online vegan video courses. They are jam-packed with tips, information, recipes to take your vegan cooking and no cooking to a whole new level. My current favourite is The Magical Life of Salad. So please do click on the link and check them out if you're interested in my recipes. I would love to see you over there.